What if I told you there are secrets your female partner's body reveals during intimacy, things she might not even consciously realize, that could deepen your connection beyond anything you've ever imagined? Most men don't know this, but these aren't about technique or performance. They're about a raw, unfiltered language her body speaks. My friend, imagine understanding these subtle cues, not just to improve your physical connection, but to truly see and feel her on a profoundly intimate level. There's a hidden world of communication happening right before your eyes, a language of instinct and truth that, once understood, can transform your entire relationship. You see, men like us, we've often been taught that intimacy is primarily a physical act, a performance even. But what if I told you that the deepest connections happen in the unspoken moments, in the tiny, involuntary reactions that speak volumes? Let me tell you about Sarah and Tom. Tom, a wonderful man in his late 52nd from Arizona, came to me feeling a growing distance from his wife, Sarah. He loved her dearly, but he felt like something was missing, a spark that used to be there. He'd tried date nights, thoughtful gifts, even vacations, but the emotional chasm seemed to persist. When we started talking about intimacy, Tom admitted he focused a lot on making sure Sarah was physically satisfied, but he'd never really thought about what was happening within her beyond that. One of the first things we discussed was a fascinating muscular reflex many women experience at the peak of orgasm. It's not the moaning or the pelvic movement you might expect. Instead, it's an involuntary micro-shiver, often in the toes. Imagine that, a tiny tremor in her extremities, as if her entire body is releasing something deeper than just pleasure. Most men, Tom included, never even notice it. He was astonished. "My goodness," he said, "I've been so focused on what I was doing, I completely missed that." This isn't about her trying to hide anything. It's a subtle, almost ancient signal from her sexual brain activating nerve endings. It's a whisper from her body that her conscious mind might not even fully register. Then there's something even more profound that happens just seconds before she reaches climax. Her gaze changes. Her pupils literally dilate, as if her body is entering a trance. Studies show that in this moment, the female brain actually shuts down regions responsible for judgment, logic, and even fear. The world fades away, and all that remains is surrender. When I shared this with Tom, he paused, a thoughtful look on his face. He remembered Sarah's eyes, how sometimes they seemed to soften, to almost glaze over in moments of deep intimacy. He'd always attributed it to just being in the moment, but the idea that her brain was literally letting go of judgment and fear resonated deeply. It helped him see those moments not just as physical release, but as a profound emotional and mental surrender. And if that impressed you, what about the women who feel an uncontrollable urge to cry right after orgasm? Not out of sadness or pain, but because their body can no longer hold the emotional charge. It's a real neurochemical reaction, a flood of dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin all released at once, leading to tears instead of laughter. They often can't control it, and they rarely talk about it. Tom was surprised by this one. He confessed he'd once seen Sarah get teary-eyed after intimacy, and he'd been worried, wondering if he'd done something wrong. The thought that it could be a powerful, involuntary release of emotional charge was a revelation. It allowed him to reframe that memory with empathy and understanding, rather than self-doubt. He began to see these reactions not as strange or concerning, but as incredibly intimate glimpses into Sarah's inner world. But here's where it gets even more fascinating, and perhaps a little challenging for us as men to truly grasp. It's a detail no man expects because it's not in the moaning, not in the words, not even in the movements. It's subtler, yet incredibly powerful. It has to do with what happens after, specifically after she's swallowed your semen. Now, before you raise an eyebrow, let's approach this with an open mind, because her body reacts in ways she can't fully hide. Her face, her pupils, her breath, her energy, everything shifts, as if her body recognizes that something profound has been received. This isn't just physical, it's psychological and deeply instinctual. The most surprising thing is that even she may not realize she's doing it. Her conscious mind is immersed in the waves of pleasure, the touch, the breath, the rhythm, the scent. But beneath that surface of awareness, her ancient, intuitive body begins to speak a language older than words. You might notice her arch, her spine, in an unlearned, unrehearsed way. Her breathing shifts, a tremor might ripple through her. And then, something remarkably specific happens just after the peak. A nearly imperceptible contraction of a muscle most people don't even know exists, the pubococcygeus muscle, deep in her pelvic floor. This small, involuntary pulse is not random. It's a kind of Morse code, sent through her flesh, interpreted only by the man who listens, not just with his ears, but with his entire presence. A man who is there not just to conquer, but to truly feel, to truly connect. It's a language without grammar or vocabulary, one of pure impulse, direct from the core of her nervous system, and that language never lies. This moment, so fleeting, so delicate, so heartbreakingly honest, passes in a blink. It's invisible to most, but to the man who truly sees her, not just her body, but her soul. It is unmistakable. A sacred whisper of truth between two bodies, wrapped in something far beyond lust. Tom was skeptical at first. Swallowing semen? That's a bit much, isn't it? He asked, a slight blush on his face. I explained that we're talking about a primal, instinctual response, not a social expectation, and it's not just about the act itself, but what it symbolizes and the biological components involved. Here's the first thing you need to understand. The female body reacts almost instantly to the biochemical signature of your semen. It might sound far-fetched, even poetic, but science is beginning to catch up with what ancient bodies have always known. Semen isn't just a reproductive fluid. It's a carrier of over 50 biologically active compounds, a cocktail of neurotransmitters and hormones like serotonin, melatonin, oxytocin, prolactin, and a significant dose of testosterone. It also contains traces of your diet, your stress levels, your sleep quality, and your overall vitality. These molecules act as messengers, not just to her body, but to her entire emotional system. They don't make announcements, but they speak silently, deeply, and they carry an imprint of who you are at that exact moment. So, what exactly unfolds within her the moment she receives that part of you? Most men have no idea. What they don't expect is that her brain can respond as if she's taken a microdose of a psychoactive substance. Not hallucinations, but real, subtle, potent shifts. Some women experience a sense of clarity. Others, a soft wave of calm. Some feel a dreamy euphoria, a sense of surrender so profound it borders on the sacred. And though they may never verbalize it, they feel it. Even if their mind doesn't consciously register it, their body always does. Tom listened intently, slowly nodding his head. He started to recall moments where Sarah seemed unusually peaceful or deeply content after intimacy, beyond just the immediate physical satisfaction. He'd never connected it to this specific act before. But here's where it becomes even more fascinating. The most astonishing detail, the one men overlook, though it's right before their eyes, is what happens in her gaze. Within seconds, some women experience a measurable dilation of their pupils. This isn't coincidence. It's not a trick of lighting. It's a precise, involuntary signal from her autonomic nervous system, reflecting a moment of deep, primal connection. It's as if her body is saying, I've received you, not just physically, but energetically. I've allowed you inside me, not just into my body, but into my most vulnerable layers. And if you're truly present, you'll see it, you'll feel it. It's in the softening of her face, in the way her breath lingers between exhales, in the shift of her posture. Some women might bow their heads slightly, not in submission, but in emotional openness, as if offering something unguarded. Others smile, not with performance, but with a quiet inner peace. And still others look directly into your eyes with a piercing, almost unbearable intensity. A gaze that says something just happened between us that neither of us can undo, and none of them can completely hide it. Tom's eyes widened. The gaze, he murmured. I've seen that look. I always thought it was just her being deep in thought. But it makes so much sense now. This revelation was powerful for him, shifting his understanding from a purely physical interaction to a profound energetic and emotional exchange. Now, let's be honest, this reaction doesn't happen with every man, because not all semen carries the same message. When it comes from a body that is depleted, inflamed, stressed, malnourished, or even resentful, the body of a woman feels it. She may experience it as bitter, metallic, off-putting, not just in taste, but in the entire vibe. And even if she doesn't say a word, her cells know. There is dissonance. Her body doesn't lie. This brings us to something essential, something every man needs to hear. If you want your semen, the most concentrated essence of your being, to be received not as a burden, but as a gift, then you must treat it as such. You must nourish your body with care. You must cultivate emotional clarity, physical vitality, and deep self-respect. Because your semen doesn't just carry your DNA, it carries your frequency, your truth, your trustworthiness, and yes, your power. This was the turning point for Tom. He realized that his health habits, his stress levels, even his emotional state, were not just affecting him, but were literally being communicated to Sarah on a cellular level during their most intimate moments. It shifted his motivation from simply being healthy to being healthy for us. He started making small changes, eating more whole foods, managing his stress with daily walks, and being more mindful of his emotional state throughout the day. We talked about simple, actionable steps. For physical vitality, consider incorporating more anti-inflammatory foods into your diet, like wild-caught salmon, leafy greens, and berries. These are rich in antioxidants and omega-3, which support overall cellular health and can subtly improve the quality of everything your body produces. Think of your diet as building blocks, not just for muscle, but for every fluid and cell in your body. For emotional clarity, mindfulness exercises, even just 5 minutes of quiet reflection each morning can make a huge difference. Journaling, if that appeals to you, can help process emotions rather than letting them fester. These aren't just feel-good practices. They actively reduce the stress hormones that can impact your overall frequency. And then there's presence. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to be distracted, even during intimate moments. Practice being fully there. Look into her eyes, truly listen, feel her breath. Put away your phone hours before bedtime. This isn't about being perfect, it's about showing up. John, a 63-year-old father from Ohio, had a similar journey to Tom. He was dealing with low energy and felt a general disconnect. He started incorporating simple things. A glass of pomegranate juice daily for circulation, which research suggests can have a positive impact on blood flow, essential for male vitality. He also added half an avocado to his breakfast, providing healthy fats crucial for hormone production. And for a sustained energy boost that also supports neurological function, a banana with a tablespoon of nut butter became his go-to snack. Together, these small dietary changes, combined with a newfound focus on emotional presence, began to rebuild his energy, his testosterone levels, and most importantly, his connection with his wife. He said it was like a fog lifting, not just from his mind, but from their bedroom. This isn't about chasing some ideal of masculine perfection. It's about recognizing the profound, interconnected nature of our bodies and emotions, and how that impacts the very core of our intimate relationships. You still matter. You're not alone in feeling these shifts with age, and you absolutely have the power to influence them. It's about cultivating a deep self-respect that radiates outward, affecting not only how you feel, but how you are received by the woman you cherish. When you nourish yourself, you nourish the connection. When you bring your full presence, you invite hers. It's a reciprocal dance of vulnerability and trust. So, my friends, understanding these subtle languages of intimacy isn't about mastering a technique. It's about cultivating presence, empathy, and self-respect. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to show up with care, with an open heart, and with a willingness to truly see and feel. True attraction isn't about looks or performance. It's about making her feel cherished, deeply seen, and profoundly safe. It's about the quiet moments after, the almost imperceptible shifts that speak volumes. Try this tonight. Simply be present. Really look into her eyes. Hold her hand. Feel her breath. Notice the subtle cues her body offers. Don't chase perfection, chase connection. Women want presence, not pretense. Self-care isn't shameful, it's powerful. It impacts not only your own well-being but the very essence of your intimate connections. If this message spoke to you, say it in the comments. I'm ready. Share your thoughts, your experiences. And subscribe to the channel if you want more honest truth like this. Because what's coming next might change forever, how you understand your masculine energy and your ability to create not just pleasure, but profound, unforgettable connection. Disclaimer. This video is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended as medical advice. Always consult a licensed healthcare provider before making changes to your health, diet, medications, or lifestyle. This content does not diagnose, treat, or cure any condition. Results may vary.